Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 4GQ TV. Very special episode of MCU After Show. And we have our regular panel below. We have Dion. I still can't reach through his comic book panels. One day I will. And then we have Paris, as you all know, as well. But I think this episode is really special today because it is in dedication to Chadwick Boseman, who played, as you know, the Black Panther. Uh, Fantastic actor, and I like this episode a lot because his voice is in it, and I think that's really cool that Disney and Marvel dedicated this to him. So basically, how this episode opens up is really interesting because T'Challa is speaking to his parents, and he tells them that he wants to basically be an explorer. And his father tells him, there's a lot of pain out there in the world, there's a lot of issues with humanity. But that doesn't seem to bother T'Challa or his aspirations to become a world explorer. Next thing we know, he's kidnapped by Yondu and the Ravagers, and Yondu notices, hey, wait a minute, we got the wrong kid here. But T'Challa turns around and says, I want to be a world explorer. And Yandu's like, well, then you'll fit right in with us, kid. And the next thing that we really see is T'Challa as Starlord walking into these ruins to get one of the balls, and he engages Korath, and Korath is so polite to him, and it's like, Star Lord is so famous in this universe, and he wants his autograph. He wants to spar with him politely. He even asks him if he can use like his weapon and everything else, and Star's like, yeah, please, let's do it. Kind of let's have it out. I
Very
appreciate
friendly.
the fact that you like me. So after the whole engagement and the fight knocks him out, he picks up Korath, and he's off with Yondu as they're heading back to the ship um, to go on another journey. And PK, take it away from here, buddy.
So I just want to go on and say, listen, shout out to the late and great Chadwick Boseman. Man is phenomenal, right? He definitely delivers all his lines. He's a true real life superhero. I mean, how can you ask so much of a man in between, in and out of hospital? Nobody even knows what's going on. Being able to shoot two, three movies and this at the same time and still maintaining his integrity and delivering performance. That is asking a lot. And I got to say, he did a great job. And it is sad to see him go. It's kind of emotional, right? To hear him deliver his lines and to see that his character Trent is still 100% consistent throughout every movie we've seen him in, as far as being T'Challa. And it is amazing to see how humble he is, how he sounds, how he basically embodied this character and made this character into more than what I remember Black Panther to be, or T'Challa himself to be, right? T'Challa is typically more confident, more sounds sometimes aggressive sometimes. And this this portrayal of him is not so much. However, no matter if it's the MCU, T'Challa, Black Panther, or this what if version of him, his character still remains consistent, no matter which way, which I thought was amazing, something that they were pointing out. So, example, when they get to the bar, right? And, you see everything has changed, right? And not just everything has changed, but it's because of Star Lord, aka T'Challa. You got Drax. His family didn't get killed. He saved his family. He and now he's a bartender. How he saved his family? What? Guess what? Guess what? What blew me away? He defeated Thanos. Not in the way that it sounds, right? he defeated him in a way where they didn't really go too much in detail, but it was kind of comical because they referenced it as he defeated him in an argument, which we don't know exactly what that really means. But at the same token, he had Thanos see his way of doing things, his way of preserving resources without destroying half the universe. With that being said, that speaks a lot. That speaks to him and his ambitions of wanting to protect and preserve life itself. And, you know, you see all the Ravagers, and yes, they still thieves, but they're more like Robin Hood, right? They steal from the poor, the entitled, to give to those who are needing, right? They do a lot to go save countless planets and life to preserve and continue. And I think that's crazy how we remember in Guardians of the Galaxy it was the opposite. And it's not a shot at uh, Peter Quill or anything. It's just showing how much of a command that T'Challa, a born leader, a king in his own right, uh, still, even in different shoes, was able to turn the tides and majority of the universe's, uh, you know, people who had no hope. And this is kind of how I view this whole uh, episode is hope. Even though things were down, he still strived to push for what is inside him to push this uh, universe into a different or try to change the narrative to make it a better place for everyone. And then you see Nebula with full head of hair, and you know, it, you can tell there's got to be some sort of history between her and T'Challa, because it seems like they might have some romance at some point. And I thought that was dope, the way they were talking. You know, they had this, the way, this savviness about themselves, how they were speaking and how to set. And it started off with Nebula talking about how she has a debt to pay. And then it cuts over. And then she's talking about the collector and the debt she has to pay, and then it cuts over. But before I give it up to Paris, I wanted to say that with this entire scene, it's more background things that we never got to see with these characters. We really did not get to see them kind of unwind and kind of be themselves and be a little more playful and in these kind of environments that are just totally weird and upside down compared to what we used to seeing. Though I thought it was amazing. And Paris, I want you to go ahead and take the next section, but I wanted to emphasize on this part of the show, because it was very important to see the dynamic on how he was able to navigate and transcend these relationships, which were completely upside down on their head.
Yeah, that's great stuff there, because you know, Nebula, just knowing her from the Guardians of the Galaxy and in the other movies, she was she was a killer. She basically didn't care. She wanted to please her dad no matter what the cost, right? But this sort of flipped to her as like what if she didn't have all that anger and all that other stuff? She's a totally sort of more calm and thoughtful, talkable person. And I guess we did see
everything.
We did see glimpses of that. And was it Endgame when Tony and Nebula were playing the football and stuff? You saw her sort of unwind a little bit, still super aggressive, but at least you got to see her sort of do maybe just the humanity part of it, of her. And then What If sort of brought it home, you know, with the full locks of hair. You know, I think she was wearing a dress too. So it was really interesting. I really did like her character and what they did with her in this episode. Too bad we didn't get a chance to see Gamora, but you know, it is what it is. I loved it. It was great. You know, as they go and you know, catching back up to PK on the collector and stuff, you know, the embers and the Embers of Genesis, you know, she basically was telling everyone that the collector has them and they can save planets. And, you know, they buy it and they figure out a plan to get there. And little do you know, she double crossed. She said she had some debts to pay. So it was so crazy because I was like, oh man, but I kind of, my expectations got high and then they just sort of just dropped. And I was like, oh, look at this girl. Oh man, now we gotta, Nebula's Nebula, you know, sort of thing. But she also really, she triple crossed. So when Korra said, oh, this is like a triple cross, I just started cracking up because it was so funny.
Yes, so hilarious, yo. So hilarious.
And how they did that.
Gosh, that's such brilliant writing because it just turned that character on his head. You're like, what? This guy is such a fanboy. It's unreal.
Yeah,
but it was good.
He's a super fanboy. Then
yes.
You know, then he's like, you know, explaining it to her. Oh, this is like a triple cross, right? So so as you know, as the triple cross is going down, it's a great plan by T'Challa himself. I don't know if he thought he was going to get double crossed, or maybe he did think he was going to get double crossed.
No, it was all a part of the plan. See, that's what's so dope about it, right?
Yeah.
He thought that 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead, there was only one piece he was not counting on. I'll let you chime in on it, but I thought that was brilliant. The fact that he had contingency on top of contingency.
Right. He sort of had a feeling on how this was going to go.
Right.
I know he didn't expect Howard the Duck, though. That was a good one. That was a good shout out to Marvel and Marvel Studios and you know, Howard the Duck being one of the first Marvel movies that they released back in the 80s. But that was cool because we got to see him a little bit in Endgame. You know, he was, you know, sitting in the thing in the cage, but this time he actually got out of the cage and helped out. So oh no, that wasn't Endgame. I don't know. What was I don't know. I can't remember. I need to go back and read up on Howard the Duck and watch another movie or something. Don't crucify me in the comments. But Howard the Duck got out and helped him. He said, come to the bar and have some drinks. I was like, man, I got people to save. What are you talking about? So I love that dynamic. And then, you know, as they defeat the collector, which was very, very great action scenes. So far, What If and their action scenes have been just out of this world. Like, you know, for anime, you know, I like the way that they do it, and it's you know, the explosions, the fighting, you know, people taking injuries, and just the animation to me has been top notch, top shelf stuff, you know, compared to all the other stuff that's out there on some of the other series that you've seen. So I really like what they're doing with it. And that fight with the collector, you know, he's got all the gadgets and stuff. He's super strong, and you know, I love that the way that came out. And then, so, you know, as they're on their way, we got to talk about the Black Order. Who would have thought the Black Order working for the collector, right? It's just a whole nother sort of what if. And What If is, to me, is like one of the great stories that, you know, and, you know, people in my group are still some people are having a tough time of understanding like what this what if is. It's like, you just gotta release the MCU from your brain and just think of it as what if. Everything is what if. Like, what if this, what if that. Don't use it. I mean, you use the other stories for sort of the top shelf stuff so you can get what's going on, but it's all what if. Like, what if this, what if that. So just think of it like that, and I think that will help a lot of people understand what's going on, because, you know, Black Order is working for the collector. Thanos returns back and he's like, I'm not crazy, I'm just a mad titan, you know. That's what they call him, mad titan, right? So he's fighting them, and Nebula comes and saves him with the embers and stuff, which was really cool to see, you know. And then the relationships on how all that stuff was going down. Carlo, one thing I do want to know is, like, as you're watching the episodes, how did you feel about sort of Thanos is snap jokes? Like, he was killing it throughout the episode, and it's just like funny little digs at some of the stuff that he would say that he said in the movies, right? How do you feel about that?
Well, what I thought was funny is that it every time they talked about the snap jokes, Thanos was like, "Well, really, it's not genocide; it's random." Like he kept trying to defend his idea that it wasn't genocide of the whole population; it was just random um, disappearances of people. Just like we
Right.
saw throughout the movies. But in this, it's twisted on the what if side, and it made it great because it showed a different side to Thanos that I thought was really cool. That what if he wasn't a super
Super
evil
villain.
bad dude. Like
Right.
he's working with Starlord, he's cool with the Ravagers, and he's down with saving planets this time instead of destroying them. So it's a whole flip on the thing, and there still is hints. I mean, there will always be hints in this that um some of this. I mean, what if is like what if how many multiverses there are, and they could always cross into anything else Marvel. And that's what is so great about this What If series is that Marvel has really put a lot of attention to the detail, the fight scenes, put attention into the storylines. Like it's like the storylines kind of make sense, and then bam, they cut off here, and this is where it all changes. There was one thing that I don't know if you brought up that I thought was really cool is that the necklace that T'Challa had on from Wakanda, it actually levitated his ship, the Wakanda ship, the metal. And when he went inside there, he saw that they were actually still looking for him. Like there was an SOS out for him, which I thought was really cool. And that kind of like brings us, to the end. And at the end, it's like all the people of Wakanda, the family, T'Challa, Star Lord, Thanos, Korath, they're all talking with the people of Wakanda, and they're just having a great time laughing. And there's one part where his father, where T'Challa's father is saying, "So how did you end up with my son?" And Yondu is about to explain the story, and T'Challa Star Lord says, he's basically saved me. He found me. I was lost,
Yeah.
and I thought that
Yeah.
was kind of cool because it showed a very special relationship between Yondu and T'Challa right there. It was just like, hey, you're my bud. We are family outside of regular family, and we've done great things. It's just this whole episode, like PK alluded to in the beginning, it's all about hope, and wow, it's a really a mind blowing episode. It twists everything you think about Star Lord around. And there's another thing that I want to talk about real quick is at the end, at the very end, he's working at Dairy Queen, um, the real Star Lord,
And
and
Peter Quill.
Peter Quill.
yeah, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Quill, and you see his father walk in, and he's like, "Hey, son," and he's like, he just looks at him like, "What?" So hopefully, there's a story behind there, and we see that in another What If episode or developed into something because it's really cool stuff. So
Yeah.
how this got flipped around. Now I wonder what powers Peter Quill will have, based on this. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and rate this, guys. I would say that I would think that this is a 4 out of 5 for me. It was the story was fantastic, the art, the animation. Some stuff threw me off a little bit, but overall, I think Marvel really told this story well from an alternate universe standpoint. And Paris, you and PK flip boxes, so I'm gonna ask you, Paris, what would you rate this episode?
Me, man, 5 out of 5, right? Um, this is Chadwick Boseman's last performance. Well, maybe last, maybe not last as far as like order when he actually shot it, but maybe the last one that we've seen that we know of that's actually out, right? That came out recently. So 5 out of 5. He pulled it off. The voice, of course, T'Challa. The story was great. Animation was great. Action scenes were great. Just the whole what if story on how they portrayed this Thanos with the jokes, the hey, I can end this thing with the snap. It's efficient, right? He just kept on going on and on and on. Nebula being embarrassed by her father, telling these corny dad jokes that everybody's like, "Oh man, what are you talking about?" Right? And they just laugh it off as a joke. But as in the other MCU version, he's real. It's real. Like this has happened. He's really wants to snap the universe. So it's just funny on how they did this. That's why I give it a 5 out of 5. It was a great, wonderful follow up to the first one. So yeah, Marvel Studios, keep it going on Disney Plus. And PK, what do you got? What's your ranking?
So I give it a 5 out of 5. I think it was fabulous. It hit all of the tenors it needed to hit. It literally introduced us to things that we never thought about seeing before. The whole what if came into play. It also showed how powerful T'Challa's character is, and the performance of Chadwick Boseman, very special. I don't think you can ever redo this, right? You can never create a scene so special like this ever again. Like this is definitely a good moment, an emotional one too. Even with the theme of him going back to home, and he meets his blood family with his new family, and they just becoming a bigger family, and he doesn't feel like he doesn't belong. He feels like he belongs. What the Yondu says, there's not a place that you don't belong. It's just where you want to be. So it shows that no matter where T'Challa is, he's still going to command and be a king and protect and be a superhero, even without the Black Panther's heritage, a power suit, etc. I think he is amazing. I think the story was great. Very good storytelling, even with the side note of the threat of the celestial being come to Earth to pick up Peter Quill. So, and only a question I say is, where is Gamora? What's up? What happened to some of the other characters? But in general, I guess everything's changed since he changed Thanos. He saved a bunch of people. There was probably no need for everything else. So at the same time, who knows? At the end of the day, the universe was in a good spot in comparison to how Earth ended when the show ended. So I think it was dope. I think it was a phenomenal.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. I mean, overall, great episode. Definitely something everybody should check out. Get Disney Plus if you don't have it. Definitely get it. These are some great shows, and let us know in the comments what you think. Please like, subscribe, share this out on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, wherever you are, because we'd like to hear your opinions and your comments below. And feel free to put down Wakanda Forever, because this episode was dedicated to Chadwick Boseman,
Yeah.
and I think that was something that was really fantastic. So,
Long live the king.
absolutely, yep. So until next time, in an alternate universe, not that far away, and the box is flipped, and Dion became Paris, and Paris became Dion. We'll see you
Yeah.
guys
What
later,
if?
and
What
thanks for
if?
watching.
Wakanda forever.